everybody. I am here with Matt Harry, who has a book, and I apologize. I thought it was already out, and then I guess that's because I bought it at the LA Times Festival of Books.
We had preview
Uh,
copies.
you are a filmmaker. I am not. Yet. I always like to say that, even at my age. Yet, someday. So let's talk about this. It's an interactive novel. So
hmm
why go this route?
That's a great question. I always loved choose your own adventure books since I was a kid, and I actually wrote my first novel when I was in seventh grade. So I was always interested in writing, but I never considered doing a choose your own adventure type novel until very, very recently, weirdly, because I got into filmmaking. I always loved interactive stuff, and in 2012, I was in New York for the TV festival, and I went to go see Sleep No More, which is this really cool interactive play that takes place, and it's like a version of Macbeth, but you kind of wander through this
Mm-hmm.
warehouse and just do whatever you want. And I got really inspired by that. And as soon as I came home, I just everything I've been thinking of since then, I always try and think of some kind of element of interactivity. My first novel, Sorcery for Beginners, wasn't choose your own adventure, but it had like a lot of sidebar information and spells that you could actually learn how to do with the motions and stuff. And then in 2019, I did an interactive play because I was trying to think of like there's a lot of interactive stuff in like the haunted house space, and I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to think of, well, what could I do that's different than that? And I immediately went to romantic comedy. I love romantic comedies. I was like, could we do an interactive rom com? And I had worked on The Bachelor for a few years, several years ago, and I immediately was like, that would be a great concept for an interactive rom com. So it was basically this kind of site specific play we did in Burbank where the audience was invited in by the lead actress, and she basically explains, I'm dating these three guys. I can't pick which guy to be with. So you're going to follow me on these dates and help me pick which guy to end up with. And then, of course, the guys find out what she's doing, and it kind of all goes crazy. But I had such a fun time doing that. I was saying to myself, how can I do this, but like with a novel? And then I kind of a bell lit. Well, what about a choose your adventure thing? And I started looking around and doing research, and I realized that there had been a little bit of a renaissance of adult flavored choose your adventure style books for all the people, like me who had grown up reading them and now wanted to see have a more adult version. And again, it was like, well, what can I do? What kind of point can I take that hasn't been done before? Because we've had a lot of like H.P. Lovecraft. We've had a lot of, there's erotica, choose your adventure erotica. And then I hit upon this idea of careers. And I was thinking about how really the most choice most of us get in our lives is our career path. And I thought, career paths, that's interesting. And if I was going to do a career path, what would I do? And of course, I went to filmmaking because that's my kind of first true love, when I have the most experience in my own career. And so that's kind of how I got to that idea um, of, you are a filmmaker.
And it's funny that you say, that there's already erotica. You didn't want to do that, and yet today, as I was kind of flipping back through it, I could not avoid having sex as a fate, and that was even the first one I did. I think when I saw you at Ladies' Night Out or whatever, got Magnolia Park Night Out. That I said like that was I think I picked the darkest timeline, and I had to
You
put it down
did.
for a while.
I remember you told me, and I said, "I'm so sorry. They're not all that dark.
No,
There's a
they're
lot
not.
of good ones, but it's funny how sometimes the choices lead to that. But I did know once I knew I was going to do a filmmaking book, I was like, okay, I want to do this the right way. This can't if it's Hollywood, it can't be PG-13. It has to have sex and drugs and all that stuff we kind of know of from just the true history of Hollywood. And so immediately as I knew that, I also knew, okay, we got to have a choose your own adventure sex scene in here. And so that was one of the kind of bigger set pieces that was fun to write. But I was just telling someone the other day, that pathway, when you end up in it, it's like it has a great ending, but it's very difficult to wind your way through it because like every moment during that encounter, you're kind of like, do I do this or this? And like, does it work? I don't know. Because I feel like that's kind of true to real life, it's between good and bad encounters.
I know.
Sometimes it's like one small
There,
choice.
I went back through this pathway, and I'm like, the one that I was convinced was going to lead to it, did not, and so I was very surprised. But and it's funny with the thickness of this book. I'm just gonna try to.
Yeah.
I did what I did as a kid, which is try to like put my fingers in and like so I could go back and
Yeah.
and this is too thick for that. I lost my place several times.
You gotta. What I found out, because I'm on a couple of game book enthusiast groups now. As I was writing the book, I was like getting into it, and I saw this one woman in England who has, her name's Louise. She has this really complicated system where she took a picture and she sent it to me before she started reading, and she's got all these tabs, different colored tabs, and then she's got a notebook paper to track her pathway, and she's got like a time. It was crazy. I was like, this is how you do it. This is professional level choose your adventure reading.
I didn't know that there was a pro-am status on this, but
apparently, neither did I.
Apparently it is, and it is kind of a little bit trendy, but I think this is this is just very cool. And so you go to filmmaking, and the pathways also include it's a variety of different careers. So that's what I want to get to. Would you like to see this being, say, taught in film classes? Because even though some of these are very dark, there's a very interesting thing up front with, you're going to choose this. There's a scene at, well, it's not really USC, is it? It's SCU.
Right.
There's this scene very early on, well, I guess almost no matter what, in which the professor talks about, if in this class, how many people actually become directors, how many get off into this other, into this other area. And now I guess that's it. Would you see it as possibly a kind of a fun way of a textbook?
I would love that. I mean, I have been telling people that I wrote this book. This is like the book I wish I'd been given when I graduated from film school, because I went to film school and I was so excited to go. And I went to USC. I went for my MFA in film production. And when you show up the first day, there's literally a piece of concrete you walk over that says reality ends here. And I was so excited. I felt like I was going to Hogwarts in the real world. And then you go through, you have this wonderful 3 years. And that speech you were talking about that the dean makes in the book was almost verbatim the speech that we got, our first day. It was like, being a filmmaker is very hard. You all want to be directors. Only, one or two of you is going to be a director. And of course, all of us sat there and were like, well, I'm going to be a director, But then it's funny, like, 20 years later, I've been out of film school 20 years, and that was really true. It's like those 50 people that I was with in my cohort, like several of us work in film, but almost none of us is an actual director. And some people left the business and did other things. And so, yeah, my dream was that as I was writing this, I wanted it to kind of be like a little bit of an instruction manual, if like you're considering a career in filmmaking, I did want there to be real kind of information in this and real pathways and how you can get jobs and how you can lose jobs from, based on all the things I've seen happen in the last 20 years.
And really interesting, as you say, reality ends here. But what I think I found really cool was, obviously, even if you choose a path like, oh, I'm going to be a screenwriter or I'm going to be an editor, which you've been both, right? Mm-hmm. Is that it still doesn't end up the way you think. There's one path that falls into documentary filmmaking, even though that's not necessarily the passion. And whoever you're calling this, protagonist, the reader is told that's not what your passion is, but hey, this turned out okay, or it doesn't. I'm not gonna, because again, you could choose your own path. And there is also you put your dream job in, which I thought was, I accidentally did stumble into that today. I guess I'll say, Pixar. So what is it about Pixar that it makes it still your dream?
Oh, I just think, for me, I've always been, it took me a while to realize this too, that I think I've always been mostly interested in story more than anything, in the transporting ability of story. And I think everything I've been doing is kind of like just different ways at that, of like taking an audience and really taking them on a journey and making them forget that you're watching a story. And for my money, the best people doing that in almost, any kind of creative industry are, Pixar. They have such a great track record of so many fantastic films that are so emotional. And when I heard that there was a thing at Pixar called the Pixar Brain Trust, which is basically this group of filmmakers and storytellers that kind of get together and they watch every film and every project and kind of weigh in on it, I was like, what a job that would be, to not only be at Pixar, but then be on that team of incredible minds who have made these incredible movies and just figuring out how to tell the best story possible. I think, to me, that's like the real pull of any kind of storytelling, is it's like solving a puzzle in the best way. And then to be doing it at that level, to me, is like just the highest level you could do it at. So that is definitely kind of my personal dream ending, is that ending. But I did want to, as you say, I did want to make a nod to how often I've seen that like people do end up kind of doing the thing they don't expect, and they find it's actually really great for them. I mean, like one of the things I never expected to do was be a teacher, and I teach now. I teach, screenwriting and filmmaking at a couple of different universities, and I really enjoy it. I actually get excited to get up and go into class and talk to the students. Whereas when I was an editor for 15 years. It was good money, but I would dread going in sometimes because it was just like I was like, I don't know about this. I just felt it was not the right fit for me. So it's just interesting how you can kind of find the thing you don't expect and be happy.
And I also need to thank you because in reading this, especially that animation track, I've been wondering what that castle was by the airport. And if that's accurate, then I'm like, finally. I knew it had to be something cool at one time. I don't know if it still is. But, I appreciate that. So, got to call out and acknowledge when I met Matt, discovered that we live in the same neighborhood.
Right. And then bumped into each other on the street. Like, literally, we met at the Festival of Books. And then, 2 days later, it was like, we saw each other in the street. We've probably passed each other so many times before then. It was so crazy.
And so we got to say, down the street, there's an event on Sunday. This would be June 26th. I'm losing track of my date. June 26th, Sunday, June 26th, at Geeky Teas and Games. One of my favorite places in this, a favorite of all neighborhoods. But Geeky Teas and Games, which is obviously by its name, game store, cat rescue, and tea shop. Delightful. And you'd recognize it by the TARDIS out front. So that's from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. Are you doing a full 6-hour signing or launch party?
We're mainly doing, I'm just kind of going there. They actually, people who own the store encouraged me to kind of go for longer. I was just going to do an hour, and they said, actually, it's free role-playing game day on June 26th. You should come and just set up a table. They were like, I think you could move a lot more books and stuff. So we're going to be, I'll be there from 11 to 4. And then the real kind of event is going to start at 3 p.m. And that's where we're going to do an actual playthrough of the book with an audience, which I've done a couple times before. I actually did a Kickstarter to help fund the illustrations for the book. And one of the perks that we did for the backers was we did a Zoom read around Thanksgiving. And everyone picked which choice we were going to go to. And it was like a party game. It was super fun, because people were like encouraging each other to take the bad choice. And I was like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, yeah. And so it became really fun. So we're going to do that on Sunday, and hopefully that'll be a good time.
And until I saw that didn't occur to me that that's something people, you would do. I mean, because I read by myself. But my God, what a fascinating party game this could be.
Yeah.
So I'll see who I can bring on Sunday to the launch. So yeah, well, we'll definitely see you Sunday. I'm running across the bottom where people can get this, mattharryworks.com. Is it available in bookstores as well after Sunday? Or
yes, so it actually officially came out this past week, June 18th. And so it's available at all the bookstores. I really like IndieBound is a great site for like local independent bookstores. So you can kind of type in your zip code and find your local indie stores, and then it'll be on their site, and you can order it through them. It's also at Amazon, all the usual places and stuff. Sometimes we do, like you mentioned, Ladies Night Out. Hopefully we'll be doing that throughout the summer, but I'm often at those too. Which is the Uni Credit Union.
At different events, yeah. Mm-hmm. So there we go. And, if you want to start this over, it could go a completely different path in this conversation. I'm not...
Totally.
I don't know. We'll see.
If you choose to have the R-rated version, select option 1.
There we go. Yeah. Hey, everybody. I am here with Matt Harry, who has a book. And I apologize. I thought it was already out, and then I guess. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm going to see you on Sunday. All right.
Great. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any Fanboy Planet videos. And remember, use your powers for good.